What if I told you that one port in Europe has become the epicenter of the global trade in illegal narcotics? For years, a criminal group known as the Makreel Gang operated inside the Port of Antwerp. They didn't rely on guns or bullets. They used something far smarter: efficiency. With insider information and an almost flawless system, they managed to bypass security again and again. While police and customs seemed powerless, kilos of illegal drugs flowed through the docks almost daily. Everything happened in plain sight, until a series of major mistakes brought their powerful empire crashing down. But to understand how one gang could gain so much influence, we need to look at their greatest weapon, the Port of Antwerp. Because this is no ordinary harbor. It is a massive logistical hub. Every year, more than 90 million containers move through Europe, and Antwerp is one of the most important gateways. The port runs on a long chain of people and companies, shipping lines, trucking firms, dock workers, customs officers, hundreds of companies and thousands of people, all with access to sensitive information such as schedules, planning systems, and container locations. And that is exactly where the Makreel Gang saw their opportunity. Every link in the chain could become an entry point for their trade. The media quickly gave Antwerp a notorious nickname, the Black Hole of Europe. The port became the primary gateway for cocaine from South America. Shipments from countries such as Colombia, Ecuador, and Panama found their safest route into the European market there. The numbers speak for themselves. In 2022, authorities intercepted 110 tons of cocaine. In 2023, that record was broken again, 116 tons. But even officials admit that this represents only a fraction of what actually enters the port. The vast majority slips through undetected. The system was never designed to stop goods. It was built to move them. And in that vulnerability, one organization saw the opportunity to build an empire. These were not simple criminals. They were structured, disciplined, and highly ambitious. They called themselves the Makreel Gang. Rather than a street gang, they operated more like a multinational corporation. They worked with a clear hierarchy where specialists each had their own role. At the top stood Noordin El Hadjoui, better known as Fat Noordin. From the luxury and safety of Dubai, he oversaw everything. He was the leader of the organization. Others also referred to him as NWA, which stood for Never Work Again. This was also his nickname in encrypted Sky ECC conversations that were later intercepted. Through encrypted phones, he managed a network stretching across Belgium and the Netherlands. His name was a promise. Join him, and you would never have to work again. But the true innovator was Abdelila LM, better known as the King of the Switch, or simply Black. He developed and perfected the smuggling method that made the gang infamous. His rise began with illegal cannabis plantations, but he eventually became a key player in large-scale cocaine trafficking. In the underworld, he earned legendary status. Like any company, they also had their employees. Take Renzo Q, a dock worker living a double life. By day, he handled containers. By night, he managed millions in cash for the organization. Police found more than 1 million euros in his home. Or Noordin LM, a planner within the port system. He was their mole, someone who knew exactly where each container would be placed and who could create the perfect conditions for smuggling. Together, they were not an ordinary drug gang, but a tightly organized machine. Their secret weapon was known as the switch method, a simple idea, brilliantly executed. The Mackerel Gang didn't try to break through port security. Instead, they used the system's own rules against it. It was a masterpiece of logistical deception built around 4 decisive steps. Step 1. information. The gang bribed individuals inside logistics companies. Through them, they obtained crucial data, the unique reference numbers of containers. With those codes, they knew exactly which container from South America contained their cocaine shipment. Step 2. Manipulation. This is where their mole Norden came in. With access to the port's computer system, he could have containers relocated. He ensured that the hot container from South America was placed next to a clean container from Europe, always in blind spots, hidden behind walls of other containers and away from cameras. Step 3. The switch. This was the most dangerous moment. At night, corrupt dock workers went into action. They broke the seals, removed the bags of cocaine from the South American container, and transferred them into the European container. Then they resealed everything, fast, precise, and silent. Step 4. Extraction. A driver working for the gang would then collect the European container. On paper, it appeared to be a normal, harmless shipment within Europe, virtually risk-free. Customs inspections were rare, making the chance of detection almost zero. The system was nearly airtight, but behind this refined plan lay a darker side. For the dirty work, physically retrieving the drugs, they recruited teenagers, boys aged 14 or 15, lured by the promise of quick money. They received between 500 and 1,000 euros for extracting the kilos from the terminal, but they were the ones who faced the greatest risk. These so-called extractors were disposable pawns in a multi-million-euro war. Every major criminal organization eventually has a weak spot. Sometimes it's arrogance, sometimes violence, and often it's simply human error. For the Makreel Gang, the beginning of the end did not start in Antwerp, but with a bullet fired on a street in Amsterdam in 2014. The victim was a Dutch criminal known for his role in international drug trafficking. At first glance, it looked like just another underworld execution. But during the investigation, police made an unexpected discovery. Not a weapon, not drugs, something far more valuable. A simple USB stick. When detectives opened it, they didn't find photos or personal files. What they found was a goldmine. Confidential data from shipping company MSC, sailing schedules, container movements in the Port of Antwerp, identification lists. In short, the operational logbook. Hard evidence that someone on the inside was leaking port secrets. That small digital stick became the first thread to pull. For the first time, investigators had a real lead to unravel the web that would guide them to the core of one of Europe's most sophisticated drug cartels. What they did not yet realize was that the murder of a mid-level criminal had marked the beginning of the end for an entire empire. The violence the gang used to protect its business ultimately became its downfall. Years passed, and step by step the investigation progressed. Meanwhile, the Makreel Gang, like hundreds of other criminals, felt untouchable. They relied on their digital shield, Sky ECC, an encrypted phone service marketed as unbreakable. The perfect tool to plan global crimes without fear of being caught. But in 2021, something happened that they never anticipated. In an unprecedented operation coordinated by law enforcement in Belgium, France, and the Netherlands, with support from Europol, what Sky ECC claimed was impossible became reality. The encryption was cracked. For 4 months, investigators read billions of messages in real time. Conversations criminals believed were completely secret. It was as if someone suddenly switched on the lights in a room that had been dark for years. The investigation marked a turning point in the fight against organized crime. Everything was exposed. Detectives watched as Fat Norden gave orders from Dubai. They read detailed plans for tons of cocaine shipments. They uncovered preparations for grenade attacks and the bribery of officials. They exposed money laundering networks stretching across Europe. On March 9, 2021, police struck. Operation Sky began. More than 1,600 officers carried out over 200 raids in Belgium in a single day. It was the largest police operation in the country's history. The technology that had once been the gang's greatest strength became their downfall. Their digital shield turned into a hammer that shattered their empire. The war on drugs had entered a new era, the era of digital warfare. The consequences of Operation Sky were immediate and devastating. Dozens of arrests followed, and the backbone of the Makreel Gang was broken overnight. What followed was a relentless offensive from the justice system. In December 2020, one of the largest drug trials in Belgian history began. 25 members of the Makreel Gang were convicted. The leaders received sentences of up to 12 years in prison. Fat Norden was also fined €100,000. In total, 47 years of prison sentences were handed down to members of the gang. Authorities targeted not only the people, but also their money. More than €8 million in criminal assets were seized, from the millions found in dockworker Renzo Q's home to investments in restaurants and real estate. The information obtained was not only used to dismantle the Mackerel Gang, it also formed the basis for hundreds of new investigations. In the 3 years that followed, the data led in Belgium alone to 586 court cases, more than 1,000 convictions, and the seizure of nearly €183 million. A strategic masterstroke by the justice system. But the fall of the Mackerel Gang did not bring peace. On the contrary, it triggered a new wave of violence. When one head was cut off, 2 more appeared, even more violent than before. The power vacuum they left behind was filled by rivals claiming territory with blood and bullets. Antwerp turned into a battlefield. In 2022 alone, 81 incidents involving explosives and shootings were recorded, all linked to gang warfare. And the situation spiraled out of control in September that year. The target was no longer a rival gang, but the state itself. Police foiled a plot to kidnap Belgian Justice Minister Vincent van Quickenborne. Kalashnikov rifles were found in a car near his home. The minister and his family had to be relocated to a safe house. The drug war had declared war on the government itself. This sparked a national debate. Was Belgium becoming a narco-state? Prosecutors warned that the mafia was taking over the country. The mayor of Antwerp raised the alarm. Drug money was poisoning society, infiltrating politics and legitimate sectors such as real estate and hospitality, where billions were being laundered. The government responded with the Stroom-Plan XXL, an ambitious security plan to centralize policing, deploy more customs officers, and screen all 16,000 port workers to tackle corruption. But reality proved stubborn. The political system is fragmented and resources are limited against an enemy with nearly unlimited financial power. The battle was no longer just about crime. It was about control of the state itself. The story of the Mackerel Gang is one of lightning-fast rise and spectacular downfall. They were pioneers of a new form of organized crime, as sophisticated as the logistics they exploited, and they were ultimately defeated by persistent investigative work and a technological breakthrough that changed the game forever. But despite this victory, the war is far from over. Antwerp remains the cocaine capital of Europe. New criminal networks have studied the Mackerel Gang's mistakes, adapted their methods, and continue to exploit vulnerable young people for their fight. The shadow of drug trafficking still hangs over the docks of Antwerp, and the battle being fought there is not only about the safety of one city or one country. It is a battle for the future of Europe. What do you think? Can the fight against organizations like this ever truly be won? Let us know in the comments. Not everyone walks through every door in the crime mansion, but if you are still here, you might belong. Subscribe and don't miss what's behind the next one.